All right, guys, Eric here out at the, I would like to say beautiful, but kind of chilly Mike Bender Golf Academy here in Orlando with Mr. Marty Nowicki to our left. If you haven't seen our videos in the past with Marty, we have a couple awesome videos over the past couple of years, really.
Yeah.
Marty is the owner of the Impact Snap. We're going to be talking about that today. Really, really cool advice to help you learn solidness of contact, and we'll dive into those. So Marty, what I'd like us to discuss here today is one of the topics that can really make or break someone's golf swing down near the moment of impact. And I'd like us to kind of funnel into how the wrists and hands and arms work specifically during the downswing.
Perfect.
Yeah, if we could talk a little bit about
impact,
those.
the moment of truth.
Yeah.
You're either correct or you're not. And obviously my product we'll get to at some point, but at impact, there are certain conditions that have to apply.
Right.
Okay, so if the ball's on the ground, well, your hands have to be past the point of the ball, just for the just so the club hits the ground where it's supposed to.
Yeah.
Ideally, we want to come from the inside. We don't want to come from the outside. Those two factors, coming from the inside, and so coming from the inside from that camera view, obviously, that anything outside of where the ball is would be the outside, anything on the inside of the ball would be the inside. So if I wanted to hit the ground after the ball, which is what we want to do, and come from the inside, well, your hands then have to, by default, be past the ball. So the wrist conditions would be forward, slightly higher with the left wrist bone, and those two conditions really get the club tracking from the inside into the ground.
It's interesting, I think, when you look at a still picture of a player at setup, and then you would pause them again at impact, right? No. And I think just looking at the difference in where the shaft and wrists are at in those two places, and realizing like we, in some way, shape, or form, need to make that happen.
And it is a combination of what are the wrists doing, what's the body doing, what are the knees, pelvis, and then what are your tilt angles like that help to create or dissipate what your angles are like.
100%. And I know there's three, right? If we were to go over, let's go over what the three specific motions are if we were to look at how the wrists work during the downswing.
So we've got cocking and uncocking, or in the world of medicine, we'd call that radial and ulnar deviation. We've got flexion, which is, or bowing, okay? And then some amount of supination, which is basically the outward rotation of the forearm and wrist with a golf club in your hand. So those three things combine to form a very good impact, but a lot depends on your grip conditions.
What would be really cool is if there was some kind of like device or training aid or like something that I could train those three things in, right? Wouldn't it just be, oh, wait a minute, what do we have here?
So we've got cocking, uncocking. We've got a sliding weight that slides up and down. We've got a proprietary bend that would then get you to repeat the same conditions over and over, so that yellow ball hits the inside of my arm, it's correct. Yellow ball misses my arm, well, there's flip roll, what have you, or wrists that are working improperly.
And if we, let me hop in there, Marty, let's switch sides here.
Yep.
Maybe we just didn't have it or not, but I don't think last time we were together there was the club face.
That's correct.
Attachment on there, which I think is really cool for me to get a visual of where the face is at with it. So if I take my normal setup, let's say I'm going in this direction, if we can just kind of walk through what I'm supposed to be, I got 9 layers on here. Okay. What I'm supposed to feel here.
So if that's set up, and I said, okay, Eric, turn your knees and pelvis toward the target a little bit, push off your back foot a little bit. The wrists are going to go more into flexion. The left wrist will go more into flexion. Yellow ball will hit your forearm. So we go from setup to impact, setup to impact. And that's how I like to start people. And it's like, okay, let's give a mini backswing and go right into impact or post-impact.
Okay.
Post-impact, and we've talked about this before, it's like you want to monitor someone's handicap. Once someone goes through the ball, whoever's got the straightest line from here, from the left shoulder to the end of the club, those are your best golfers.
The best player, yeah.
And whoever's got the most bend points, elbow, wrist, or twist, elbow, wrist, those are your worst golfers.
Yeah, right.
So it's like what this device does is it just elongates your radius.
And you know what I feel, I think what would be amazing if you're watching this and you haven't used this before, and what in particular I feel a lot of compared to normal, I really get the sensation of the ulnar. Like I really get the unhinging sensation.
Ulnar would be uncocking of the wrist.
Yeah.
And then flexion, the wrist bone itself going forward. So go ahead and put your hands on that again. And let's overdo it. So barring someone's grip, now it's right on the inside of your arm. You can feel how much more flexion would be involved in the left
So
wrist.
that from this angle, my wrist would look more this way.
Correct.
Compared to me feeling like it's more in this condition.
And if I just took the device and I said, okay, Eric, make a fist. And if I said, okay, hit me as hard as you can, your wrist by default is going to move forward. Okay,
Yeah,
you wouldn't hit me like this because you.
I would never do that. Yeah.
Your wrist, the thumb would go down, wrist bone forward, and now you've got leverage to whack somebody. Or in upstate New York, where I'm from, and you're from Pennsylvania, hold your right hand out. Okay, push. So yesterday was, -8 where I'm from.
Yeah.
You feel the wrist.
Oh yeah.
That's like pushing a car out of a snowbank or pushing a heavy shopping cart.
Yeah.
So it's like we're putting your wrist, relax your shoulder and elbow, so you feel how that can move, and it can fire out energy. So now tilt forward, turn and hit my hand. Boom. So now you had leverage when you did that. Let's put your left hand in there. Well, there's the same wrist condition.
I love that. And like all else equal, let me grab my club.
Yeah.
If I'm feeling these as I'm moving this club head, if I'm feeling that as I'm moving my club head, like the net effect of what that would change here, and what I would be feeling with that would be a lowering of the loft.
Yep.
Right, so for my dynamic loft to be lower, compressing the ball. So like what that would play into would be solidness of contact, ball first, ground second, and it also really helps me with getting my club face square.
Yes.
Right, and so I think for a lot of players that we would see, and if someone's watching and they're not hitting their iron solid or weak right shots, like those would be two, along with the supination piece.
Yep.
Right, two of the big pieces that they can put in there to kind of like instantly go in and hit the ball better.
Yeah.
Not like, hey, I got to change all these swing pieces. Like I can add these.
It seems to me when we get the wrist angles correct, the body starts to respond.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
And if it doesn't, it's like I tell my students all the time, it's like, okay, we're going to hit 20 balls. I don't care if you miss hit the first 15.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter to me. I just want you to have a checkpoint at post-impact where it's like, okay, did I do what I asked you to do?
Yeah. And Marty has a really cool, when you get the product, there's a 7-day training series that I watch through those videos again, just as a refresher. And it's really nice when you get that too, that you can actually go through, and I like that if you watch our videos, the step-by-step, like do this first, learn this, then building block and add this piece in. And so if I get to the phase where I'm gonna start hitting a couple shots here, and we're gonna take my feels that I have from that into the club, I get the sensation through the ball. And I said this last time, but I really, really think it's important, is I feel like now, as I have this club in my hands, that I'm able to replicate that same exact thing. Like it really feels to me like I'm just moving the handle the same way that I was before.
Yeah.
So as I start to hit, if I'm gonna hit one out here with this, I wanna kind of hold hold that finish position to make sure that I did it correctly. So I'm gonna just hit a 7-iron out here. See what kind of turn I can make in this weather.
Pretty solid there.
Yeah.
By default, slight draw.
Yeah, built in.
Built in.
So solidness of contact, right? Consistency, and I think especially this time of year as this is coming out, as you can see how we're dressed, right? Not in 80-degree South Florida, in 40-degree Middle Florida, especially if you're working on things at home. Like you're inside, I'm working on my swing. I want to get out in the springtime and have my swing feel good. I want to take some of the inconsistencies out. You can reverse engineer a lot of really good pieces in your swing by having things correct from like hip high to hip high. That's a really important message.
Yes.
And there's only a handful of things that I've used that I continue to use as I coach, and the impact snap is one of them that I really, really like. So we're going to put the first link in the description down below. There's going to be a coupon code associated with it if you want to grab one of these. Super, super highly recommended. We're going to be doing a couple more. I think this is video number 1 in our series. We'll talk some more through the details, but Marty, thanks, man. Appreciate you. This little device here can completely change your golf game. I know for me, when I was really improving my swing and my game, learning how to release the club correctly and what my arms and hands should be doing through impact made all of the difference in the world. Now the question is, how can you learn? How do you know when you're practicing by yourself that you're doing and training in the correct motions? This is where I love the impact snap. All I need to do is take this device right at home and learn how to use this correctly, get the auditory feel that I need, get the feel that I get with the ball on my forearm. And when you purchase this, Marty gives you that 7-day training videos for you to run through. So it shows you exactly how to use it. It fits right in your golf bag. And I'm telling you, the release pattern, these little micro motions can be the difference between having it on Tuesday and losing it by Friday and having a swing that's consistent and shows up on the golf course all the time. I highly recommend and endorse this impact snap. We'll put a link in the description down below.